two. There it is, Joe C. Stanghagen. L150. And here we have the one and only Brian Poppy from the state of Washington. Good friend of mine, great guy. And you know, he could be a veterinarian, he could be just about anything. He's got every tool aboard on there. He's got milk buckets. This Texaco truck here was from Stephen, Minnesota. Here we got Malin Brothers Combine. It's a Massey Ferguson 92, and we're unloading on the go. You know, that's the second hopper today. I'm thinking that we got a terrific crop out there. Gonna move over just a little bit more. Spilling a little wheat on the ground. Good show, good show. Case. And another Herbranson with a SC case and a junior Herbranson, very young. B. John Deere pulling a number 30 combine. And I don't believe this is a Herbranson, but it's gotta be, it's an unrestored tractor. It's gonna need paint, I bet. I bet it'll be painted by next year.
Each year, Rolog exhibits hundreds of tractors, steam engines, and other vintage items in our daily parades. From showroom quality restorations to engines still used on the farm today, we have something for everybody to see.
In 1969, the winter, this guy built the tractor. That's what he did. He built this in the winter of 69, 68 and 69. He needed a four-wheel drive tractor, built the tractor, and he farmed it a number of years. He had other four-wheel drives later on, and when he got active Rolog, he restored it to bring it to the show. And this tractor here, this D17, came all the way from Winger, Minnesota, and he drove it on in. And I just cannot remember your name. If I could see your name tag. Anyway, he lives west of Winger. Beautiful restored D17. F Ever 14. Toby and Amy Van of West Fargo. Model B John Deere. And here we got Paul Rick, the one and only famous Paul Rick. Clifford Swenson from Eula, Minnesota. So what is W12? This next one is one that's used 2 times a day, and everyone in the crew, working crew, it just looks forward to this. They shut down for high noon for lunch, and it's used then, and it's used for closing for the day. It's the last call.
Years ago, it was the first year. So this is the 28th year that I've been doing the public announcing, and it's been quite an honor. And I say that because if you look at that picture above my head, that's a picture of Al Hansen. The late Al Hansen, he was the owner of the bankrupt store in Holly, and he was the first person to be an announcer of any kind out here. Because when the show first started out, of course, there wasn't any need for any public address. There wasn't any public to address. But in any case, that's what Al did, and he did that up until 1983. And our former parade announcer, Earl Herbranson, who was our first parade announcer, suggested my name. And so I have then been doing the public announcing from that time on. And it's been a wonderful experience. It's been a real enjoyable thing to do. And it really brings home what is meant by the last name and the title of this show, the Western Minnesota Steam Thrashers Reunion, because it certainly is. So the people that come here and the people that I'm waiting to see here, we look forward to it every year. One of the most interesting things that happen out here in my experience, you know, these are is one of those things that only happens on Rolog. One day some guy came in after they were steam plowing and say, hey, they plowed up this billfold. And so they gave it to me and I opened it up. And the billfold belonged to one of our members here, longtime members and all-time around fixers, mechanics, and what have you, Kermit Nelson. And that's when we had the Hitterdal Depot as the administration building, so I put out the announcement for Kermit to come up to the Hitterdal Depot. And he did, and so at that time I presented him with his billfold that had been laying in the ground for 2 years. And the money and the pictures and the documents were quite well preserved. And for some reason, Bob Brecken, our Holly Herald newspaper editor, heard about that. He's always said, I got to get a picture of that. So it's been recorded for all time that he plowed up his billfold and it was still in working condition. One of the things that has been a real joy for my wife and I, because, hey, let's remember her, Einadel, because she's the keeper of things here. She keeps a journal of all the announcements we make, so if there's any question about those types of things, we know when we did it and what they wanted to have done, and so on. Years ago, we used to have a threshing right in this area here, and of course our biggest time consumption on announcing then was for all these little kids that would be running around and getting lost, and I'd say, well, I'll tell you what, if they're youngsters, they're probably in the straw pile, on the merry-go-round, or on the train.